Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Anime Octopus, and today we're diving into an exciting fanfic scenario. What if Naruko saved Universe 7? Before we jump in, a quick disclaimer: all content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used, and all rights belong to the original creators and copyright holders. Alright, let's get started. 12 years ago, a nine-tailed fox spirit known as the Kyubi no Kitsune appeared in the peaceful village of Kanahagakura no Sato, the village hidden in the leaves, in the country of Hai no Kuni, the fire country. The village leader, the Yondaime Hokage, bravely sealed the fox into a newborn girl at the cost of his own life. Her name was Uzumaki Naruko. The Yondaime hoped the village would one day see Naruko as a hero, though only a few people truly understood his wish. Among them were the wise Sandaime Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, the kind-hearted ninja instructor, Umino Iruka, the cheerful ramen chef Ichiraku Tuchi and his daughter Ayame, a mysterious silver-haired one-eyed Jonin, a spiky-haired legendary ninja known for her unusual sense of humor, several clan heads, some dedicated shinobi, and a bright blue-haired, lavender-eyed girl who was Naruko's peer and friend. Everyone else, however, either ignored her or treated her with suspicion and fear, believing the fox spirit inside her made her dangerous. Growing up, Naruko often felt lonely. The villagers' cold stares and whispered warnings made it hard for her to make friends. But the few who cared about her became her world. She found joy in playful mischief, using clever pranks to get a smile from anyone who would notice her. School was a challenge, her grades were poor, and she often ended up at the bottom of her class, but she never gave up. She also had a secret crush on a fiery pink-haired girl in her class, though the feeling was not returned. Today was a big day, the graduation exams at the Ninja Academy. The test had 3 parts. A written test, a throwing object test, and a 3-jutsu trial. The 3 jutsus were the Henge no Jutsu, Transformation Jutsu, Kawarimi no Jutsu, Substitution Jutsu, and Bunshine no Jutsu, Clone Jutsu. Naruko had worked hard, and she passed the Henge and Kawarimi jutsus beautifully. But when she tried the Bunshine, her clones appeared pale and weak, flickering like shadows in the sunlight. Her heart sank. Feeling defeated, Naruko walked to the small playground near the village edge and sat on the swing, her tiny hands gripping the ropes as she stared at the ground. She sighed, letting the cool breeze brush her hair, wishing she could do better. From behind her, a gentle voice called out. "Naruko," said Mizuki, a teacher who had always been kind to her. "Why are you sitting here all alone?" Naruko looked up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I failed, Mizuki. Again. I'll never be a real ninja," she whispered. Mizuki knelt down beside her, smiling warmly. "I think you're stronger than you know. Sometimes, you just need a little guidance to see it for yourself. There's a way for you to pass the exam and become a Genin, if you're willing to try." Naruko's ears perked up. A spark of hope flickered in her chest. She had always dreamed of becoming a ninja, of making people see her for who she really was. Could this be her chance? Mizuki handed her a small scroll. "This has instructions. If you practice carefully, you might just succeed. But remember, real strength comes from your heart, not just the jutsus." Naruko clutched the scroll to her chest. Her heart beat fast with excitement. She would not give up. She would find a way to master the Bunshine no Jutsu, prove herself, and show the village that even someone like her could shine. And with that, Naruko stood tall on the swing, the sun glinting off her hair, ready to take the first step on the adventure that would one day make her name known throughout the world. Naruko Uzumaki, the girl with the spirit of the nine-tailed fox and a heart brimming with courage. Naruko was sitting on a swing in the village playground, looking downcast. She had just found out that she hadn't passed her graduation exam. Naruko was a 12-year-old girl with spiky blonde hair, slightly tan skin, and 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek. She wore a bright orange jumpsuit with blue patches on the shoulders, and her green goggles rested on her forehead. As she sat there, feeling defeated, a man approached her. It was her sensei, Mizuki. He had pale blue hair that reached his neck and wore a bandana with the symbol of a leaf with a spiral in the center. His outfit was a green flak jacket over a blue shirt and pants. "Hi Mizuki-sensei," Naruko greeted quietly, still frowning. "Hello, Naruko. I'm sorry you didn't pass," Mizuki said, smiling in a way that didn't quite seem friendly. "But I found a way for you to still succeed." "Really?" Naruko's eyes lit up immediately. "Yes. There's a special test for students who don't pass the usual graduation exam," Mizuki explained. "You'll need to sneak into the Hokage Tower and take a scroll. Then, You'll bring it to a clearing at midnight and learn a jutsu from it before an instructor finds you. Meet me in the woods near the tower to start. Naruko's heart raced with excitement. I'll do it. Dadabayo, she shouted. As Naruko ran off toward the woods, Mizuki smiled to himself, clearly pleased with his trick. But unknown to them, someone had overheard everything. Hyuga Hinata, a kind girl with short blue hair and gentle lavender eyes, had been walking nearby. She wore blue pants and a baggy cream-colored jacket. She had a quiet crush on Naruko, though Naruko didn't notice. Hinata immediately went to tell Iruka-sensei and the Hokage what she had heard. The Hokage, wise and patient, decided that Naruko should be allowed to try the test, but Iruka and Hinata would follow her from a distance to make sure she stayed safe. Later that night, Naruko was in a clearing, practicing the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, the shadow clone technique. Unlike ordinary illusions, these clones were real, each with their own energy. Naruko had just successfully created several clones when Mizuki appeared. Naruko, you passed. Hand me the scroll, Mizuki demanded. Before Naruko could move, Iruka leapt from the trees. Naruko. Mizuki is tricking you. Take the scroll to the Hokage immediately. Mizuki's voice cut through the night. Naruko, do you want to know why the villagers act strangely around you? Naruko paused, confused but listening. Hinata, hidden nearby, strained to hear as well. Naruko, don't listen to him. Iruka called. Mizuki tried to intimidate her, but Naruko remembered something her sensei had taught her: courage and clever thinking were stronger than fear. She focused, creating more shadow clones to protect herself and her friends. Through her determination, Naruko realized the truth: she wasn't defined by what others thought or by scary stories. She was strong, kind, and clever. With calm and steady hands, she used her new skill to retrieve the scroll safely, ensuring everyone stayed unharmed. Hinata stepped out from the shadows. Naruko, you don't have to face everything alone. I believe in you, she said softly. Naruko smiled warmly. Thank you, Hinata. I couldn't have done this without you. Together, Naruko, Iruka, and Hinata brought the scroll safely to the Hokage. When the village leader saw Naruko's bravery and skill, he smiled. Naruko, you've shown great courage and cleverness. You've truly passed the test. Naruko beamed, proud and happy. She had faced her fears, learned something new, and discovered the power of friendship and courage. Hinata grinned too, knowing that her friend's heart was as bright as her smile. And from that day on, Naruko wasn't just a student, she was a hero in her own right, ready to take on any challenge with bravery, clever thinking, and the support of her friends. Naruko-kun, we need to talk, said Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Sandaime Hokage, his voice serious. He wore a flowing white and red haori, and his pointed red and white hat bore the kanji for fire. Beside him stood a tall man with long brown hair, white eyes, and flowing white robes, Hyuga Hyashi, head of the Hyuga clan and Hinata's father. About what, Jiji? Naruko asked, tilting her head as Hinata sat nearby. Hold on, Hokage-sama, Iruka said, stepping forward. May I give Naruko something first? The Hokage nodded. Close your eyes, Naruko, Iruka said gently. Obediently, Naruko shut her eyes. After a few seconds, Iruka spoke again. Open them now. Naruko opened her eyes and noticed something strange: Iruka no longer wore his headband. Then she saw the smiles on the faces of the Hokage and Hinata. Congratulations, Naruko, Iruka said warmly. I'm giving you my headband to show that you are now officially a Genin of Konoha. Naruko's eyes welled with tears of joy. Thank you, Iruka-sensei. Hokage-sama, Naruko began, but Hiruzen raised a hand gently. Naruko, there are still important things you need to know, he said. Naruko nodded. You and Hinata have discovered part of the truth, but I need to explain fully, the Hokage continued. You are not the Kyuubi itself, you are its jailer. Only an Uzumaki child can contain it safely. Naruko blinked, surprised, as did Hinata. Why me? She asked softly. You were born on the day of the attack, the Hokage explained, and only a child from the Uzumaki clan can hold the Kyuubi's power. The Uzumaki were masters of sealing techniques, from a hidden village called Uzushiogakur in Whirlpool Country. Naruko's mouth opened slightly. Her heart raced. My clan? Yes, Hiruzen nodded. Your mother was from that village. She came to Konoha to become the Kyuubi's jailer after her home was destroyed. Naruko felt a pang of sadness. My mother? Her name was Uzumaki Kushina, the red-hot habanero, also known as the Red Death. She died the day you were born, during the Kyuubi's attack, Hiruzen said gently. Hyashi's eyes widened, remembering a friend of his wife's. She fell in love with your father, Namikaze Minato, the yellow flash of Konoha and the fourth Hokage, the Hokage continued. Time seemed to freeze. Naruko, Hinata, and Iruka stared. Tears blurred Naruko's vision. Why? Why would my father seal the Kyuubi inside me? She whispered. Because he loved you and wanted to protect Konoha, Hiruzen explained. Only someone of Uzumaki blood could contain it. He could not ask anyone else to bear the burden he was willing to carry himself. Naruko nodded, understanding, but curiosity still sparkled in her eyes. And now, the Hokage said, you've unlocked a power neither of your parents had. Naruko's heart skipped a beat. Power? Yes. You have awakened the Rinnegan, the eyes of the Sage of the Six Paths, Hiruzen said. Naruko blinked in disbelief. The Rinnegan? What can it do? The Rinnegan is the eye of the original ninja, Hiruzen explained. It lets you see chakra, manipulate all 5 elements, and use the Six Paths technique. Naruko and Hinata listened wide-eyed as the Hokage spoke. 6 paths? Naruko asked. They are Deva, Preta, human, animal, Asura, Naraka, and the hidden outer path. Each grants a special ability, from manipulating gravity to summoning creatures, and even reviving the dead, Hiruzen said softly. Naruko's head spun. This is incredible. Perhaps the best way to learn is to ask the Kyuubi itself, Hyashi said. Naruko's eyes lit up with determination. She closed her eyes, meditating, and soon she found herself in a strange mindscape, a long, watery corridor with a giant metal gate sealed with paper kanji. Behind it, the 9-tailed fox slept. Hey, fox! Wake up, Naruko shouted. Who dares wake the mighty Kyuubi no Kitsune? The fox roared, but then blinked at her. Oh. It's just you. What do you want? Naruko took a deep breath. I need to know about my eyes. What can they do? The Kyuubi's jaw dropped. How do you have the yellow flash's eyes? I don't know. Can you help me? Naruko asked earnestly. The fox nodded. With these eyes, you can see chakra, use all 5 elemental releases, and access the 6 paths, Deva, Preta, human, animal, Asura, Naraka, and the outer path. One more. The creation of all things, but be careful. Naruko's eyes sparkled with determination. Thank you. The fox grinned. Call me Kurama. And you remind me of the sage. I like you, kid. You don't scare easily. That's why I'll help you. Naruko smiled. I'm honored, Kurama. When she returned to reality, Iruka and Hyashi were waiting, and Hinata lay next to her. Naruko shared her new knowledge, and everyone's eyes widened in amazement. The Hokage chuckled. I'll assign your team tomorrow. Plenty of paperwork to handle first. Later, Hyashi asked to speak privately with Naruko. After Hinata reluctantly left the room, Hyashi turned serious. Naruko-san, I have a favor to ask. Hinata cannot stay at the Hyuga compound for her safety. Will you have her live with you? Naruko's eyes widened. Of course, Hyashi-sama. I will protect her. Hyashi gave a final stern glance. Any harm comes to her, and you will answer to me directly. I understand completely, Naruko said firmly. When Hinata returned, she blushed. So, we really get to live together? Yes, Naruko said gently. I can't say I love you yet, but I want to give us a chance. Will you let me? Hinata's face lit up. Yes, Naruko-kun. I'll give us a chance. Then tomorrow. Let's have a proper date, Naruko said with a smile. Yes. I'd like that very much, Hinata replied, beaming. Naruko returned her smile, feeling a warmth in her heart that promised many adventures, and a friendship that might one day grow into something even more beautiful. Naruko got up from the hospital bed and left with Hinata, who walked gently beside her. As they made their way to Naruko's apartment, a few people stared at them, but Naruko didn't mind, she was too focused on getting home. When they reached the apartment, they saw the place was a complete mess. Papers were scattered across the floor, dishes piled up in the sink, and clothes were tossed everywhere. Naruko smiled and waved her hands. Don't worry, I've got this. With a little sparkle of magic from her cage bunshines, her clever shadow clones, Naruko created several copies of herself. Together, they zipped around the apartment, picking up the mess, folding clothes, and washing dishes. Hinata watched in awe as the little clones moved with surprising speed, Like a fun, magical dance. By the time the stars twinkled in the night sky, the apartment was spotless. Hinata yawned and smiled. It looks amazing now. Naruko offered her bed to Hinata, but Hinata shook her head gently. I'll just sleep on the couch, it's fine, she said with a small smile. Naruko nodded and climbed into her bed, pulling the blankets up snugly around her. A couple of hours later, Hinata woke up, feeling uncomfortable on the couch. She tiptoed over to Naruko's room and gently shook her shoulder. Naruko-chan? Are you awake? She whispered. Naruko stirred, rubbing her eyes. Hinata? What's wrong? She asked sleepily. I can't sleep. I was wondering if I could. Maybe sleep with you? Hinata asked shyly, her cheeks turning pink. Naruko felt her heart warm and smiled softly. Of course, Hinata-chan, she said. Hinata climbed into the bed, snuggling under the blankets. Naruko wrapped her arm around her gently, making sure she was comfortable. Thank you, Naruko-chan, Hinata murmured, her voice soft and sleepy. No, Hinata-chan. Thank you for showing me what it feels like to care so much, Naruko thought, feeling her heart fill with happiness. Together, they drifted into a peaceful, gentle sleep, the night calm and comforting around them. Naruko awoke to a soft warmth at her side. She opened her eyes and noticed Hinata snuggled next to her, hugging her gently in her sleep. A small, happy smile spread across Naruko's face as she watched her friend rest peacefully. But then, a strange feeling made her heart skip a beat. Something felt off. She turned her head and saw that her front door was wide open. And in that doorway stood a towering figure, Hinata's father, Hyuga Hyashi. His Byakugan eyes were glowing, and the intensity of his gaze sent a shiver down Naruko's spine. Hyashi walked closer, looking serious, but before Naruko could react, the commotion woke Hinata. Her eyes fluttered open, and she gasped. Hito-san. What are you doing? Hyashi's voice was stern. This little girl has no idea about proper behavior. I must make sure she understands. Hinata's eyes widened. Father, we didn't do anything wrong. I just asked if I could share her bed because I couldn't sleep on the couch. Hyashi froze for a moment, then his frown softened slightly. She asked to sleep on the bed? But. Hinata stepped forward bravely. Father, I chose to. Naruko offered, and I was uncomfortable on the couch. Now please stop scaring Naruko. Hyashi blinked and realized he had been making a bigger deal than he needed to. He stepped back and gave a small nod. I apologize for startling you, Naruko. Naruko, still catching her breath, gave a polite bow. I accept your apology, Hyashi-sama. Hyashi chuckled lightly, as if nothing had been wrong. I only came to bring in your belongings. The door was open, and I wanted to help. Nothing more. With that, he nodded to his daughter and left, leaving the room peaceful once more. Naruko exhaled a huge sigh of relief. Hinata. Your dad is kind of scary. Hinata giggled softly, shaking her head. I know, but he means well. Naruko smiled. Well, then let's get your things inside. With a playful grin, Naruko made a hand seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. She called, and 10 shadowy clones appeared, ready to help. Together, Naruko, Hinata, and the clones carried all of Hinata's things into the apartment, neatly arranging them until everything was perfect. Looking at the clock, Naruko saw it was only 10 o'clock. Hey, Hinata, wanna grab some breakfast? She asked. Hinata nodded eagerly, and they headed to Ichiraku Ramen. Along the way, they noticed a few curious stares, but neither paid them any mind. Naruko felt a little twinge of irritation, but Hinata took her hand and smiled gently. Naruko instantly felt calmer, as if a small, warm light had filled her chest. At Ichiraku, they were greeted warmly by Tucci and his daughter Ayame. Naruko ordered beef ramen while Hinata chose chicken. They laughed and talked, discovering little secrets about each other. Naruko learned that Hinata was the girl she had rescued from bullies years ago, and that Naruko had inspired her to be brave. Hinata learned about Naruko's love of adventure, books, and playful mischief. They shared stories, jokes, and dreams, forming an even deeper bond. After breakfast, they went to a training ground. Hinata practiced her gentle and precise Juken moves, while Naruko experimented with her new elemental scrolls and Rinnegan abilities. Hinata realized that her unique flexibility made the traditional forms tricky, so she invented her own style called Juho, or gentle step, blending spins and graceful movements like a dance that was also a defense technique. Naruko, using her shadow clones, practiced controlling her elemental powers and chakra. She even learned the basics of Shinra Tensei and Banshu Tenin, slowly mastering the Deva Path's gentle push and pull techniques. As they trained together, they cheered each other on, laughed at small mistakes, and celebrated tiny victories. By the end of the day, both girls were tired but happy. They had not only strengthened their skills but also their friendship, creating a bond that felt as strong as the brightest morning sun. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, Naruko looked at Hinata and smiled. "We're going to be amazing together, Hinata. I can feel it." Hinata squeezed her hand. "I believe that too, Naruko." Together, they walked home, ready for the next adventure, side by side, unstoppable and full of light. After 4 hours of training, Hinata had become skilled enough to hold her own against the Chunin using her new moves. Meanwhile, Naruko, inspired by Kurama's memories, developed a unique taijutsu style she called Kitsunekin, Fox Fist. This style focused on speed, acrobatics, and precise strikes. While it was different from the traditional strong punch techniques, combining it with her clever use of clones made Naruko capable of overwhelming even experienced opponents in friendly sparring matches. She had also begun learning elemental jutsu, starting with wind techniques, which added another layer to her training. By 7 o'clock, their day of practice came to an end. Thanks to her clever clones, Naruko mastered the leaf-cutting exercise and learned to absorb and redirect energy using the Pretapath technique. Hinata, proud of her progress, had created a new move called Gentle Step, 9 palm strikes, a technique designed to tap 9 chakra points while gracefully dodging attacks. The two friends decided to call it a day and went shopping for dinner ingredients. Back at their apartment, Hinata cooked a warm meal of baked chicken, sautéed vegetables, and rice. They sat together, enjoying the food and each other's company, sharing stories and laughter late into the evening before falling asleep side by side, wrapped in a cozy embrace. At the Hyuga compound, Hyashi Hyuga, the clan head, felt an inexplicable irritation toward Naruko, even while she was fast asleep, which made him mutter to himself in confusion. The next morning, Naruko and Hinata walked to the Hokage Tower for their ninja registration photos. Naruko was careful not to do anything silly, knowing Hinata would keep her in line. Training together had taught her just how confident and capable Hinata had become, and Naruko admired it. Kurama even explained the powers Naruko could access, allowing Hinata to spar safely with her and helping her learn quickly. After their photos, a small boy with spiky brown hair, wearing a gray helmet, yellow shirt, gray shorts, and a blue scarf, burst into the room. He tried to show off a ninja move but tripped over his scarf, landing in a heap on the floor. The boy introduced himself as Konohamaru, the Hokage's grandson. The boy's teacher, a sunglasses-wearing man in a blue jumpsuit named Ebisu, scolded Naruko for messing with his student. Naruko, ever the kind-hearted ninja, shrugged and followed Hinata as they walked away, with Konohamaru sneaking behind, determined to learn from them. Soon, Naruko and Hinata realized Konohamaru was tailing them, disguised poorly under a blanket. They finally turned around to confront him and were met with the boy's determined expression. "I want you to train me," Konohamaru said, bouncing on his toes. "I want to become a great ninja, just like you." Naruko and Hinata exchanged a glance. Training an apprentice would be a big responsibility, but they both saw Konohamaru's heart and determination. "All right," Naruko said, smiling warmly. "We'll teach you, but only in a safe and fun way." Over the next few hours, they guided Konohamaru through exercises in acrobatics, speed, and clever ninja tricks. With Hinata showing her precision moves and Naruko demonstrating clever clones and Kitsunekin techniques, the boy improved quickly. Even Ebisu had to admit that Naruko's methods were effective, although he tried hard to keep up with all the mischief the trio got into. By the end of the day, Konohamaru had learned not just new techniques, but the joy of training with friends who believed in him. The trio laughed together, knowing that adventure, friendship, and teamwork were more powerful than any jutsu alone. Naruko and Konohamaru waved goodbye at the training field, both beaming with excitement. "Remember," Konohamaru said with a playful grin, "we're rivals for the Hokage position now. May the best ninja win." Naruko laughed and nodded, her bright eyes sparkling with determination. "You bet. I'll train even harder so I can become the strongest Hokage." As she skipped home, the warm sunlight made her orange scarf glow like fire. When she reached the door, she froze for a moment at the sight of Hinata's gentle, smiling face. "Naruko-chan," Hinata said softly, holding a small scroll in her hands. "Hokage-sama sent a message about your training today with Konohamaru-kun. I hope you remembered to follow the instructions carefully." Naruko giggled nervously. I think I did, Hinata-san. "Don't worry. Hinata smiled warmly and handed her a small charm. This will help you stay safe and focused while practicing your jutsu. Remember, even the strongest ninja must always listen to wise guidance. Naruko's eyes widened. She nodded eagerly and took the charm. I will, Hinata-san. Thank you. That night, Naruko couldn't sleep. Instead of fear or danger, her dreams were filled with adventure. She imagined traveling across the elemental nations, helping people with her jutsu, and solving little mysteries wherever she went. She saw that Tsuchikage and Mizukage having fun trying new recipes, the Reikage and Kazekage racing each other across the skies, and even her friends cheering for her from faraway villages. She laughed in her sleep, imagining all the funny and exciting things that would happen when she grew up. The next morning, Naruko woke up feeling stronger and braver than ever. She tied her scarf tightly around her neck, hugged her charm, and whispered, I'll become Hokage someday, and I'll do it with kindness and courage. From that day on, Naruko trained every day, always remembering Hinata's gentle guidance and her friends' playful rivalries. She learned that true strength wasn't about scaring anyone, it was about helping others, having fun, and being the best ninja she could be. And so, Naruko's adventures continued, full of laughter, learning, and little heroic deeds that made every day magical. Dear YouTube family, this is all for now. If you enjoyed the content, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for your support and for being part of this journey. Warm regards. Anime Octopus.